We get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power!
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting. A movement of people, it's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the prisons is. I was told good life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify. With you and God in time, I best align.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and White House correspondent. I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, just DRNIIQ. And there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. And there we are for your listening pleasure, there for your golden ears. Also, be sure to subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast powered by KBLA Talk 1580. That way you'll never miss an episode. Today, I'm just down the hall from the briefing room here at the White House. In our first hour, I was sharing with you a conversation I had with the U.S. Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, about some of the concerns that folks have around air traffic control in light of what's happened at Newark's airport and a number of other airports. We are continuing to stay on that story, but a little bit later this hour, we are switching gears. We're going to be talking about all things Met Gala, and we got the right person in the house to help us unpack all the details. Adam Glassman, who's the extra special correspondent, he'll be joining us. If his name sounds familiar, it's because for years and years and years, he's been the creative director of Oprah Daily, formerly known as the Oprah Magazine. If you know anything about Oprah's favorite things, then you know everything you need to know about Adam Glassman. And so we'll be talking to him in just a moment. But first, it's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Kicks off, ABC News is reporting that the world's eyes are turning to the Vatican City as the papal conclave to elect the next pope is set to begin. All eyes are on Vatican City today, with just over a day to go until the start of the papal conclave to elect the 267th pope. It would be unexpected if the conclave goes past Friday. That's according to Cardinal Jean-Paul Vesco, the Archbishop of Algiers. And the 12th and last General Congregation was held on a Tuesday. A total of 170 cardinals from around the world have already arrived at Vatican City following the death of Pope Francis. And so by the end of this week, we could have the next pope selected. That's kind of cool, right? And it's going to be interesting to see who it is, because my understanding is of the 135 to 170 cardinals that are participating in this process, about 115 were handpicked by Pope Francis. And so very interesting to see. In Diddy news, USA Today is reporting that potential jurors have been asked about sexual assault and several references to violent videos. Potential jurors were questioned for a second day in Sean Diddy Combs' sweeping federal sex crime trial, a high-profile case with ties across the entertainment industry that's expected to stretch on for months. Jurors on May 6th, jurors just today, were repeatedly asked if they, a family member or a friend, had been a victim of sexual assault, sexual harassment, or domestic violence, and whether they or a loved one had been charged and accused of such crimes. One question was particularly interesting for some. Have you communicated to others, posted your opinion on social media or online, or liked any social media posts about Mr. Combs? If so, when and where did you post or state that opinion? And so that is underway. And a very different story taking place in the entertainment industry. Just yesterday in the Big Apple, the Met Gala, it was iconic. When we come forward, we're digging into that with Adam Glassman. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about. If you missed our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall, the Altadena Eden Fire, 100 Days and Counting, you missed an evening of reverence, reflection, and reality.
You got to live in the reality, because this is it. Every day you wake up, is this my life? Don't stay in denial, because yes, it is. Don't stay in bargaining where you're praying for a miracle, and if it wouldn't have happened, then this is what I would have done. It did.
Our panel participants kept it real. Really real.
I think, number one, it's amazing to me how we ignore systemic racism in our community, and as a people, we've apologized for so much, but when will we stop apologizing for what we have paid for? Because the truth of the matter is, we paid for this.
You can always count on KBLA Talk 1580 to give it to you straight, no chaser. When you love folk, you tell them the truth. Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-511-2112. That's 800-511-2112. 800-511-2112.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only permanent interests as we effort to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and he is Adam Glassman. He's the Extra TV special correspondent, as if that wasn't enough. He's also the creative director of Oprah Daily, formerly known as O, the Oprah magazine. And since 2000, he's been overseeing the style pages all aspects of the magazine's cover shoots, and one of my favorites, the highly anticipated Oh Favorite Things. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Thank you for having me. That was quite a spiel about me.
Well, you've done a lot. You've done a lot. We got to give you your flowers.
Yes, I do a lot. Thank you very much. And
Well,
thank you for being a fan of Obert's Favorite Things.
absolutely. Absolutely. Look, there are a lot of people, including my mother, who's listening right now, who have received many Christmas gifts over the years because there was an Oprah Favorite Things list. And so thank you for helping to curate that list with Miss Winfrey.
That is the goal. That is the goal. We have been doing it for years. But today we're talking about the Met.
There's so many things to talk about. And before we get to some of the iconic looks that we saw at the Met Gala and just the whole concept of Black Dandy, let's talk about just the dollars. The New York Times reporting that the Met Gala has raised the bar with a record haul of $31 million. That's how much they raised. And for people who are a little less familiar, this is money, goes to the Institute. It's the Met Gala Institute. And it's a very worthy cause. It is a museum that exists at a time where we need more museums to be the repository for memory. And so talk to us about what do you think is driving the record $31 million fundraising haul for the Met Gala?
Well, at first, I'm glad you said the record. It is the record, the most money ever raised of any exhibition at the Met Gala for the Costume Institute. What does that say? Well, first of all, it's such an extraordinary concept. The idea of being super fine and tailoring Black style, truly. And it's about Black excellence. And it is about time that everyone sees it themselves, I have to say. I mean, it was Black excellence at its best, truly.
Yeah. Apparently the Mets it dwarfs events like the September Gala for the New York Philharmonic, which brought in nearly $4 million, and the 2024 event for the Whitney Museum of American Art, which raised $5.2 million. And so just to give our leaders, learners, and listeners just sort of a scale, right? That's a big haul.
It's a big haul, but the Costume Institute also is a very big draw. It lasts, anywhere from 8 months to almost a year until they do the next one. And they get visitors that line up to go see that. So it really, it raises a lot of money, but it also is like one of the most viewed things at the Met.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, what's so interesting to me is that this Met Gala was iconic for a whole lot of reasons that we'll get into. But one of them is that, it really put the history, 300 years of Black fashion and the history of Black dandyism, on full display. I think there are a lot of people that didn't know what Black dandyism was. I mean, were you familiar with Black dandyism? Were you familiar with just sort of?
Yes, I was. And I'm also familiar with the term being a dandy. So was I as familiar as I am now? Certainly not, because the curator, Monica, went really deep into it. And it's a lesson. It's more than fashion, actually. There are photographs, there are drawings, there are stories through the years, 300 years.
That's a long time.
Oh, that's a long time. And there's not going to be one school child who is not going to visit this. I mean, all the schools are going to be taking busloads of kids from wherever you can drive to New York City to see this exhibition.
Adam, it's not lost on me that maybe in years prior, one might say that, and it's like, okay, that's great, that's nice. But, right now we exist in a time, where, we're seeing folks sort of back away, from any direct talk or straight talk about Black history, any sort of public embrace of diversity, equity, and inclusion in all of its forms. Do you think that this Met Gala sort of surprisingly, was, a sort of protest, like a runway protest? Who would have ever thought the Met Gala would sort of lean in this extraordinary way at a time where we see so many brands sort of leaning back?
It's an interesting question, but the answer is this. Anna Wintour and her team plan the gala almost a year out. So today is the day after, last night. They take a day of break, and then they know already what next year's is going to be. So this was in the works for at least a year. It was in conversation for many years prior to this, because keep in mind, Andre Leon Talley worked at Vogue for many years. And for those listeners that don't know who Andre was, but he was really the first Black man in any prominent position in fashion magazines ever. And he worked at Vogue for numerous decades. He passed away a few years ago. He was a dandy man. He was a man of great stature who dressed impeccably and beautiful in capes, in tailored suits, in hats. So a lot of this was really also an homage to Andre that Anna and the team had planned years prior to the year we're currently in, where there are a lot of cutbacks, unfortunately. But not everyone believes in what is going on.
Adam, had you ever worked with Andre Leon Talley?
I never worked directly with him. I knew him socially and I knew him professionally from around.
Yeah. I had an opportunity to interview him once. It was shortly after his book had come out. And
the first book? Which book was it? The Chiffon Trenches or ALT, the big picture book?
It was the first one. It was the first one. It was the first one. And he was extraordinary. He was very gracious. There were moments while I was watching the gala with friends from home where, I wondered, how Andre Leon Talley might feel, how he might have felt, sort of watching this living memorial, this living tribute to so many of the things that he loved, a gala that featured so many of the people that he loved. I thought if love is in the details, I think you and I are on the same page.
Oh, yeah.
There were a lot of details, and there seemed to be a lot of love for Andre Leon Talley at the Met Gala.
There was a lot, from the first person we spoke to, Coleman Domingo, who didn't even know Andre. They didn't know each other personally, but he wore a cape in homage to Andre. There were younger celebrities that said, I'm wearing this for Andre. I don't even know if they knew who he was, which is interesting. I mean, he is a historical figure at this point for a very young generation of people. But they did their reference and they checked their reference and their homework. So he was very present. He was very present, and in not just visual, but I think in spirit, very much so.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And speaking of, the next generation, there was an array of celebrities, particularly Black celebrities, that helped host the event. You mentioned Coleman Domingo, but also Lewis Hamilton, A$AP Rocky, and Pharrell Williams, as well as LeBron James, who served as the honorary chair. Should we see this almost as a passing of the torch? There were so many, fresher faces of folks. The sort of next generation of folks were on full display. Did you see this as sort of a passing of the torch of sorts?
What I thought was fantastic, first of all, there has not been a exhibition dedicated to menswear in over 20 years at the Mets. So this, I thought, was fantastic, because if you follow fashion, or even if you just look at red carpets over the last maybe year and a half to two, men have been peacocking on these red carpets more than ever before. Mm-hmm. Fashion with a capital F means so much to guys in Hollywood, in sports, in music, more than ever before. Used to, a man just wore a regular old tuxedo. Maybe it fit well, maybe it didn't, for the most part. rock and roll and musicians, they came probably a lot more stylish in their genre. But, actors used to dress sort of others, movie stars or just, simple guys as arm candy to women who spent weeks and days getting dressed. So I love that this exhibition was dedicated to that. And it's the next generation of Hollywood and athletes and artists that are going to move us forward.
Well, let me just put on the record for all the people planning next year's Met Gala. If you are looking for a little piece of arm candy, you give me a call here at A More Perfect Union.
It is the most fun. It
He'll
is
put me on
the
loan.
most fun. Yeah.
Speaking of most fun, so it's just been great looking at all of the pictures and the social media posts from yesterday and leading up to yesterday. One that caught my attention was your colleague over at Scott Evans.
He's over at Access. Yeah, he's great. He was like, well, first, okay, let's talk about Scott. Yes. What did Scott say?
So he kept a grooming diary. And I saw not just him, but I saw a number of other folks who attended had these grooming diaries. Is that a new thing right now? Are people really wanting to track, like, what products are you using on your face and on your hair?
It's a thing. Influencers have been doing it for the last year or so, and they're selling their stuff. And the rest of the world now does, they do fit checks in front of the camera. This is what I'm wearing and why. And now it's all about like a beauty regime check, truly. And Scott recently also went blonde, and every celebrity stopped for him because they're like, "You're blonde."
And not only is he blonde now and looks great blonde. Yeah. We love the look, Scott, if you're listening, but no more dreads. He cut his dreads off.
Right. Well, everyone could change their hairstyle. Women change their hairstyle daily. Men can now do it, as well.
That's right. And so I'm wondering, are there any particular grooming diaries that you were tracking? We know that each and every year you're part of the team that helps to curate Oprah's favorite things, right? And so I would imagine you are constantly on the lookout for new now next.
Yeah.
Was there anything in the grooming category that at least caught your attention?
Well, I should say more sort of like grooming and beauty, because the men's, I didn't catch a lot of the men's grooming routines. Women's, however, like Tracee Ellis Ross, she really documents her entire process from clothing to hair to makeup. So getting her hair the way she did, she and her hairstylist, Chucky. So that was great. And another thing that I tracked, and you probably noticed too, Nicole Kidman with very short hair, slicked back, looked fantastic, gorgeous.
Very gorgeous, very gorgeous.
Everyone, I have to say, this is what I'm going to also say, because I've been on this red carpet, I have attended this. This was the most elegant, sophisticated, and fun, the way people dress. It's the Costume Institute and it's supposed to be glamorous, but through the years, depending on the theme, sometimes it gets a little too costume party and people don't know what to do. This, I think everyone got the memo and understood the dress and the dress code. Yeah. And people turned it out, really.
They sure did. And in a few moments, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into specific looks.
Okay.
I have my short list. I think you might have your short list as well. But, just back to these grooming diaries, I just thought it was so fascinating. And this is the person who is bald, who is fascinated by this. But Pattern, which is Tracee Ellis Ross's
line,
company, that's her line. I saw that featured by a few folks. But, Adam, help me understand, what is a grayness reducer? I saw this pop up on a few people's Instagrams. They have the shine control, and then there's something called a grayness reducer. What is that?
There are two types, to be honest. There's one that you put in your hair that puts a cast over it. So its camouflage is, to a certain extent, your gray. Tones it down. That's the best way to talk about it. So it's still there. It's still there, but it's not a solid mass of, like, if you're a brunette with gray hair like myself. If I dyed my hair, it would look like shoe polish. Too black and too one tone. So grayness reducer pretty much is that. You could use it for your hair, and you could use it for your facial hair.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So if I'm walking around and y'all see me looking a little less salt and pepper like,
yeah,
it's because I'm giving this a try.
It works, and I have to say, I honestly have tried it before, so it does work, and it doesn't last very long. A few weeks at the most.
So, Adam, are you saying that we could see this as one of favorite things?
Well, I don't know if it's Oprah's favorite thing per se, but I think hair color is probably the greatest invention out there. Someone famous actually said that. It may have been Nora Ephron. She may have said hair color is the greatest invention out there.
Agreed. I had to ask more with Adam Glassman. He is Extra's special correspondent. He's also the creative director for Oprah Daily. And when we come forward, he's going to share his short list of some of his favorites from yesterday's Met Gala. He has his, I have mine. We're going to compare.
Let's see. I want to see if they overlap.
Yes. And for those who are streaming us live on YouTube, go ahead and get in a More Perfect group chat and let us know. What are some of your favorites?
Let's do that. Let's have a conversation.
Be a part of the conversation. Yeah. You are listening to and streaming a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Adam Glassman when we come forward.
The audience is listening. Thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside a More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump says he's not sure what Canada's prime minister wants to talk about when the two meet.
I guess he wants to make a deal. Everybody does.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is scheduled to speak with President Trump at the White House today. This will be Carney's first trip to Washington since he was elected last week. British Nigerian nursing student Elizabeth Tamilore Odunsi, 23 years old, was fatally stabbed in her Houston apartment just days before graduation. Her roommate, Chester Grant, was charged with her murder after an argument, reportedly over their cats. Grant was booked into jail after a failed suicide attempt and charged with murder. And Floyd Mayweather is suing Business Insider for $100 million, claiming defamation over a report that questioned a major real estate deal he was linked to. He says the article was false and damaging to his reputation. Business Insider has responded, calling the lawsuit meritless and vowing to defend its reporting. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
La Crescenta 210 eastbound at Lowell. The 3 left lanes are blocked due to a crash. Big delays are backing up away from Sunland Boulevard. The westbound side of the 210, you've got delays getting out of La Cañada from just about Berkshires. You continue back to the scene of that crash right around Lowell Avenue, and it's slowing in Hollywood. This is on the 101 northbound at Cahuenga. That's a crash. It's out of lanes in the center divider. That drive is slow moving away from Vermont Avenue and the Cajon Pass. A wreck on the 15 northbound past Kenwood. These guys are off to the shoulder, but the drive is a big mess getting away from Glen Helen Parkway.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Second round action in the NBA playoffs resumes tonight. Indiana is at Cleveland for Game 2. Indiana has a 1-0 lead in the best of 7. Golden State and Minnesota meet up for Game 1 in their best of 7 in Minneapolis. Congratulations to Grambling State University legend Doug Williams, the first black quarterback to play in a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl. Williams was one of 6 people honored as a Louisiana legend at a gala award ceremony in Baton Rouge, sponsored by the Louisiana Public Broadcasting Corporation. Williams, who grew up in Zachary, Louisiana, led the Washington Redskins to a Super Bowl victory over Denver in 1988. Williams also is the first black quarterback to be chosen in the first round of the NFL draft. Williams was a first-round pick, number 17 of Tampa Bay in 1978. Williams, now 69, is a senior advisor for Magic Johnson's Washington Commanders. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, y'all, come on. Pick up the drums.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like stress.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hit me! National news, the consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and he is Adam Glassman. We have Adam Glassman, Extra's special correspondent. We are talking about the iconic Met Gala. Look, if I would have gone to that Met Gala, I don't know if I would have had to go anywhere else the rest of my life because it was so dreamy in so many ways. And so we're over here, we're trading notes on the looks and the vibe from the Met Gala. If you have any hot takes or any favorites, drop them in the group chat and we'll work you into the conversation. So Adam, kick us off. You know, I'm not going to ask you for your top 10 list. I don't want you to rank people, right? But let's start with the category of, most iconic look at the Met Gala.
Oh, you got hard questions. Well, I think the most iconic, well, it's hard to say most iconic person, but this was the biggest moment. Epic. Diana Ross. Diana Ross.
Whoa.
Who hasn't been to the Met in 20 years.
Yeah.
Anna Wintour personally called her and asked her to come. And she showed up and everyone went crazy. And that cape that was many, many, many feet long with 10 people who had to carry it up each step. And then she would pose and they'd scurry away. That was a moment.
It was breathtaking. Yeah. It was hands down. It was one of the most breathtaking experiences I've ever witnessed watching any Met Gala. And, maybe so much of it is because Diana Ross is just, she is an icon, all caps. She's an icon, all caps.
All caps.
And
81 years old, and you looks extraordinary. She's unbelievable.
Yeah. And her relationship with Andre Leon Talley, and it felt like a passing of the torch moment as well, because right behind her on the carpet was Zendaya. And
Okay.
Zendaya she wasn't just dressed in any old white suit.
Oh, no, she wasn't. Zendaya, she's my best dress. We're going to give it away early on in this. She's really my best dress. It's always hard to pick one, but of one of many that I loved her. It was perfection. For those that did not actually watch any parts of the Met Gala, you could watch it today on Extra with us while we go through this, and you'll see Zendaya. In Louis Vuitton, in a white suit, a white tie, a perfect white fedora, that if you go back and Google Bianca Jagger and Mick Jagger wedding, that is what Bianca wore to her wedding. Zendaya was perfection.
Well, and wasn't it also an ode to Diana Ross and a look that she had in mahogany?
It was a nod to mahogany for sure, an ode, homage.
Yeah.
But that time period, whether it was Bianca or Diana, that was all the same time period. That was a look. That was like a major look.
It was a major look. And I think Coleman Domingo. Hello.
My number two best dressed. My number two, that is on my list. Not my number two. Like, I didn't like one over the other, but that's on my list. So I had to pick three. Coleman.
Yeah. Not only did he understand the assignment, not only did Coleman understand the assignment, but he was out there issuing assignments because he was one of the co-chairs of this year's Met Gala. I love the look under the look, right? So he shows up and he's got the blue cape on and it looks like a sort of headdress situation, right? And then underneath that, it was a whole nother look. And I run hot sometimes. So I was thinking, wow, he must have been roasting wearing all that material.
No, the weather was very crummy last night and pouring rain. So it wasn't hot. It was a little cold. So he was okay. That the cape was great. We discussed it was an homage. The color was an homage to a family member. And then the suit. And the entire thing was done by hand for him by Valentino. That suit fit him as if he was born to wear it. Mm-hmm. There was every bit of it was tailored beautifully. Mm-hmm. And the detail. And also, he happens to be one of the most joyous, loveliest human beings. So his aura shines through in every conversation, everything he wears. I mean, there is just like white light around this man.
Yeah. And Pharrell also very similar, a lot of white light around him.
A lot of all little pearls, pinstripe pearls, he told us.
Yeah. I mean, and to me, Pharrell had like a very everyday look, right? Like I could see folks, showing up at, whatever festive gala or event wearing what he wore. It didn't feel very costumey. It felt very elegant. There's a simple elegance to that, a timelessness to that. But aside from his outfit, apparently he had his Invisalign dipped in gold.
Dipped in gold, yes.
Right? And so we thought he was wearing sort of like,
like a grill or something. Yeah,
that's right. That's right. And they were his Invisalign. I said, what Invisalign does that?
Right. Well, Pharrell, he's a creative, on every level, really. And keep in mind, he's also the creative director for Louis Vuitton's men's line.
Yeah. And to your point earlier, this was a Met Gala where we saw a lot of men sort of stepping out of the confines that we have been in, out of their comfort zone, and really showing up and showing out. It's also important to note that there are folks who are a bit more artsy on the carpet, including Andre 3000. Talk to us about the piano on the back.
The piano on the back, we kind of didn't get in the beginning. And then when you ask him, he kind of doesn't tell you, but a new single is dropping. He kind of tells you his clothing line he's bringing back. So he's wearing pieces of that. And his guest was wearing his new clothing line. So, and he was just carrying a garbage bag. I still don't know what was in this garbage bag, but it somehow worked like a handbag.
Maybe.
I mean, when you're there.
Some of us were scratching our hair a little bit. We love Andre
Yes,
3000.
but again, that was like only like one person who showed up where you're like, I don't really get it. You know, years passed. We had Katy Perry show up as a hamburger. One time she showed up as a chandelier. You know, so you get like wacky stuff. There was only one major wacky, costume like that.
I thought Jodie Turner-Smith,
Perfection.
Whoa. Sister Girl understood the assignment. That sort of, what is that, maroon, crimson? What would you call that?
Yes, Merlot. Some could say Merlot.
Yeah.
All leather, handmade by Burberry.
Yeah.
Based on an equestrian, a photograph of an equestrian woman that there was very few pictures of. And she brought these to the house of Burberry.
Yeah. I mean, that was also what was so beautiful about it, is that folks weren't just showing up on the red carpet for them. You know, that there were a number of folks, including Tessa Thompson, whose look was inspired by an ancestor, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that was also part of what fed into the magic of this Met Gala. It wasn't just celebrities wearing the clothes of big designers, but there was a lot of intention behind how they showed up and who they were celebrating.
For sure. I mean, even Ava DuVernay came up, and her outfit that Prada made is based on a picture of her grandmother that she showed to the House of Prada. And it was a very similar outfit, but done in a Prada way.
Yeah. Adam, in our remaining minutes, I want to ask you about the importance of having Dapper Dan at this Met Gala. And for folks who are less familiar about Dapper Dan and, why he is regarded as he is, particularly in the fashion community, in Harlem and beyond. Talk to us about the importance of Dapper Dan being a part of this.
I think that part of this exhibition, or like Andre, this exhibition probably could not have happened without Dapper Dan, because he had paved the way, really. This gentleman is currently in his 80s. He's lived in Harlem his entire life. He's a fashion designer. At one point, all of musicians and rappers would go to him to have things made. And he repurposed old Louis Vuitton and Gucci and cut them up and made jackets and pants and things. But a lot of it was counterfeit. A lot of it wasn't real Gucci or Vuitton. And it was street style at its best, really. And the fashion people got into him. And Gucci originally came to him and said, we'd like to do a collaboration with you. No longer do you have to use counterfeits. We're going to work together with the real Gucci. And it helped establish him and put him on the map outside of the music world and Harlem world that everyone knew him. So he's one of the original dandies in New York City.
Mm-hmm. Adam, what will you remember most from this Met Gala? You are a master curator, yourself, when it comes to style, and have been for many, many, many years. How has this Met Gala sort of changed the way you curate? How has it changed your style?
Well, I am not very dandy. In my mind, I personally think I could be, but my life for the most part was behind the scenes. So I'm very used to disappearing, in all honesty. when I have to now do things like this and be on a red carpet, I need to be seen, but I do not mistake myself for being the people I interview. So I look appropriate, I look tailored, I look polished, and always will. But the truth of the matter is, my role is to speak to the stars who want to be seen for their clothes. And I'm a classic person in general. I think you go a long way with a good fitting tuxedo.
Agreed. Our thanks to Adam Glassman, Extra's special correspondent, also the creative director for Oprah Daily. We welcome you to come back again anytime.
It was super fun. We'll do it around Christmas when you know what happened.
We love to hear it. We'll follow up. Thank you, Adam.
Okay.
You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580, the quiet part out loud when we come forward.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least liked to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and you, working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Live from the White House, you're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and it's about that time for the quiet part out loud. Have you ever heard the phrase food is medicine? I believe that. Do you believe that? If you're not feeling so good, or if something ails you, is there a particular fruit or vegetable or drink that you reach for, maybe a type of tea that you reach for? Whatever you reach for, I'm sure we are reaching the same conclusion, which is food is medicine. This is certainly the case in Mississippi, where a Mississippi grocery store is revitalizing its majority Black town with fresh produce. This is a story that may just put a smile on your face. With the recent release of Ryan Coogler's Sinners, Clarksdale, Mississippi, known as the home of the blues, has been thrust into the spotlight. As reported by The Guardian, while the nation and world are captivated by a version of Clarksdale from more than 90 years ago, residents today are focused on the future. On May 2nd, rain and warnings of thunderstorms were not enough to keep people in Clarksdale's Brickyard neighborhood away from the reopening of Jay's Grocery, a local staple since 1997 that had been under renovation for the last year. You see, a collaboration between the store owner, Al Jones, and local farmers. Jay's, the only Black-owned supermarket in the area, now carries fresh produce. How about that? The new stock and collaboration was made possible by a deal among Jones, a partnership for a Healthier America, which is a nonprofit that works to provide access to nutritious food. Rootswell, a Mississippi Delta-based group that was formed to shift the paradigm of food apartheid. And have you heard of Novo Nordisk? They're a pharmaceutical company, and they're also in the mix. In fact, around 150 local students, they celebrated the reopening in the morning before the ribbon cutting, and they enjoyed a lot of music from DJ and live artists and cooking demonstrations. In fact, Jarvis Howard of Tunica, Mississippi, a visual artist who goes by Dude That Draw, he painted a mural, a smaller version of what he's installing in nearby George H. Oliver Elementary School. You know what the mural reads? Over vibrantly colored vegetables, food is medicine. When he wasn't tending to the mural, he was also painting kids' faces. That's kind of cool. People who follow issues related to food justice recognize that this story hits a little bit different. It might even be a sign of encouragement given all that is afoot in our country. You see, Clarksdale, which today has a population of nearly 14,000 people and is primarily Black, the grocery store is in a walkable, mixed income community with an elementary school almost right across the street, a middle school, a Head Start center, a nursing home, and a senior citizen housing, as well as low-income apartments and single-family homes are all in close proximity. It's like a little village. And in addition to the newly offered produce, the store also features a third space, a seated, shaded area surrounded by raised beds planted with herbs where residents can gather and chat. This is all happening along the Mississippi Delta, which, as many of us know, is abundant, fertile land and crops. Agriculture is the state's #1 industry. And though some 30% of the state is farmland, most of the land is dedicated to cash crops, which are exported. In 2022, nearly 20% of Mississippians were food insecure. And again, for the people in the back, in 2022, nearly 20% of Mississippians were food insecure. So to have a grocery store in a majority Black town with fresh produce in a part of the country that is food insecure, that's something to stand up and clap about. Don't take that for granted in your neighborhood. Some neighborhoods, there is a embarrassment of riches when it comes to neighborhood grocery stores that offer you fresh fruits and vegetables. That's not the case everywhere. But what's so beautiful about this is that they're doing it together. You're seeing the community come together and provide the kind of medicine that that's much easier on the stomach than the synthetic type. And so congratulations to everybody in the community of Clarksdale, Mississippi. We see you. We celebrate you. Thank you for all that you're doing to build a more perfect union starting right there in Clarksdale. We'll have to leave it there. My thanks to the entire village helps us produce a more perfect union, including our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer, Andy, our show producers, Faraji, Kim, and Art, and of course, each and every one of you, all of our leaders, learners, and listeners. We love you. We appreciate you. Remember, do what you can from where you are with what you have, but by all means, do something. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.